Good evening, everyone. Welcome to TSSR Weekly, live here from Sports Corner at 124, a little shortened, abbreviated show. We had a really long show last week. I'm Dwayne Hulett, Kenny Suter alongside. JT Jeter was scheduled to be on the show tonight. He had to take care of a few things, so he's not going to make it. So it's just Kenny and I doing a few brief sessions, and then we'll get out of here, so we won't keep you long tonight.
Yeah, after the marathon run last week. But, I mean, it was good 2 interviews with the WIU coaches, something we don't really get on a daily basis. So the long night continued with the long interviews. It kind of worked out in the end.
Yeah, it was a good interview. It was good to hear from Coach Gravina and Coach Jeter. We'll hopefully get them back on quite regularly here, maybe once a month or so through the season, and then work with some other coaches at Western as we try to build a little bit more of a relationship with WIU as well. We're happy to have them on as a sponsor for all of our high school games. We actually have a junior high sectional going on right now. It's on from Abington Avon right now as the A-Town Tornadoes are playing the Brown County Hornets tonight. So we don't have any audio up there for that, but it is the stream so you can watch the game. So that's always nice to have that. Just a little short on people as we've had so many games, Kenny. It's been every night so much stuff going on that we just haven't, we kind of run out of people and run through people. We got 3 games, 3 things we're supposed to do tomorrow night. I'm still waiting to hear back if we have announcers for wrestling tomorrow. If we have announcers, then we'll have wrestling tomorrow as well. But we'll have girls basketball from Bushnell and West Prairie tomorrow. Then we got 3 football games on Friday and 2 things on Saturday, which don't let me forget. We'll talk about that later. But Saturday has changed a little bit for all involved. And so just all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just crazy busy. Now, I say that, and then next week it starts to tail off a little bit. So a little slower week next week, and then the week after that's even slower, and then
we hit holidays.
And then holidays are shorter for us because we have Men in Unity, we have West Prairie and Bushnell at the MVIT, so we have to still make sure that we're different AD there, so I'll have to verify that we can broadcast that, but that'll be the only thing we broadcast. We will not be able to broadcast anything from the Macomb Western Holiday Tournament this year, so Southeastern and West Prairie, or Macomb, will be there, so we could talk about some of that stuff as we go, but, man, it's been a lot of cool stuff this week. We did a couple road trips. I went to Rushville on Friday and QND on Saturday. BPC beat Rushville. QND beat Macomb on Saturday, so little abnormal road trips there, but it was fun nonetheless.
Something that you get used to on when we're able to do it for football because it's more of a regular thing. I can't really look at my boss and say, hey, I'm going to be gone for road games every week.
But we try to do them when they're big games or when we can get in to get them done. And QND has been very cordial to let us in, and it's been awesome to be there for that.
Had multiple games earlier in the year with the volleyball between Macomb.
Yes, Macomb. We did some volleyball traveling. We'll do some more basketball traveling as the year goes along, probably. And we've got some good basketball teams in our area. I think Bushnell is surprisingly good. I don't think Coach Schneider is surprised necessarily, but I was a little surprised. They have more height than I expected, and they've been playing pretty well. They're 2 games above 500. I think they're 5-3, right? Mm-hmm. And then Macomb is 6-2, so they're playing pretty well. And then Southeastern, of course, they won the Beardstown tournament, and they have Division I preferred walk-on signee Danny Stevens, who was the TSSR Bites Athlete of the Week last week. On that team, scored 52 points. So, I mean, it's there's some good basketball in our area. West Central is a team that's not really in our coverage area, but we've done quite a bit with them through the I-8FA, and they are, I think, trying to get their feet under them. They played football so much longer than everybody else in our area. And then South Fulton and West Prairie had a good game the other night. So Rushville is, a lot of names from football that you hear there. So, I mean, some of our area teams are trying to improve. Some of them are already improved and playing pretty well.
Pretty much. I mean, especially you said you were surprised about the height of that Bushnell team. We had my cameraman Diego last night walks into our gym. We start setting stuff up, and he goes, is that the varsity or the JV team? Of the varsity team warming up, like, yeah, that's the varsity. They're, the average height is pretty much almost 6 foot at this point with most of them. And he goes, wow, I didn't think there'd be tall people down here. He's up from Chicago. And I go, what do you mean there wouldn't be tall people from here?
Just because Kenny's short, Diego, does not mean everybody's short.
And he's shorter than I am.
But, yeah, and, then there's the girls' teams are trying to improve. Macomb has showed spurts of being pretty decent. Lauren Powell and the crew at West Prairie. Lauren's scoring a bunch of points. She just signed to play basketball at Carl Sandburg. They're improving under the tutelage of Coach Bland, and then BPC lost their 2 key players from last year, so I think they're still trying to find where their scoring is going to come from too.
A-Town also has a really nice team. The way they can get their defense and offense working together, done a couple of their games. Brooke Pieper down low is a great post kind of guard too, as well as she can run up and down the court using her tall body, move around, a great boxing out. As you don't really see box outs or stuff like that. I'm big on highlights or anything like that. But in the middle of a game, when you can see somebody boxing out over and over and over, and no matter who they put on her, she's going to get rebounds and put second chance points up. A-Town's going to have a great game, great season overall.
Yeah, I think they're going to be pretty decent to watch down the stretch. There is a sectional, I believe it's a sectional for girls basketball at A-Town, so we'll probably broadcast that as well. So we've got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe here. We'll take our first break as we've kind of hit on what's been going on this week, and we'll have some highlights when we come back here on TSSR Weekly, live from Sports Corner at 124.
I went through MDH when we were trying to get pregnant. We were struggling the first year, and then when we got pregnant, I stayed at MDH and through labor and now for pediatrics. My experience was nothing short of phenomenal. I was met with amazing staff members who helped me through concerns that I had when she was first born, helping me learn how to be a new mom. It was really reassuring and comforting knowing that I had so much support and kindness around me. My entire pregnancy at MDH was amazing.
At Western Illinois University, leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there is limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
And welcome back. Sports Corner at 124, TSR Weekly. I'm Dwayne Hulett. Kenny Suter is alongside, and Kenny worked his tail off per usual to get good highlights. You had to watch my highlights from the Western women and men's last week, so we all know that Kenny's highlights are better. Does a smoother transitioning job than I do. But I felt like my video work wasn't bad considering I don't ever use the camera.
Not really, as much as we've been doing it with setting up and announcing. I know for myself, I've done probably one game on a camera this year, and that was the soccer game at Macomb, which I know I like to pride myself on knowing a lot of sports, but even a soccer game, I was like, okay, don't miss the ball. I've lost the ball already.
Yeah, it's kind of, we did swimming this past week, so that was fun, something different, and had 2 new camera guys running the camera, Grant Hicks and Kyle Little, and it was kind of funny because they were both like, "What do we do?" And I'm like, "Just follow swimmers." That's what you keep trying to figure out where Macomb is and make sure you get them on and get the fast guys on and watch the line. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Just watch the swimmers, right?
I've never seen a swimming tournament. With all the Olympics that I watch, if it's not curling or basketball or baseball.
Curling. You're one of those people.
Curling is a really fun sport. Once you get to know the minutia of the game.
Minutia?
Yeah, I have no idea what the minutia of curling is. All I know is throw the rock down there and brush.
Technically, you slide the rock down there, right?
It'd be more fun to get one of those 50-pound rocks and just chuck it down and see what happens.
Let's watch highlights.
All righty. First highlight up here will be the boys basketball game from Macomb taking on the Farmington Farmers.
Last night's game.
Yeah, it's real nice when I can actually get some nice highlights from
Duncan
the
with the baseline
game
jumper
before.
there.
Yeah. It's a little slow start for the Bombers against the Farmers as they did come back and win 45-33. Kerr with the turnaround. Kerr had a really nice game.
He scored 16 points, Kerr did, on the night. And there was a turnaround jumper for him on the baseline. He's really came to life offensively. There's Connor Watson with a steal, and he's going to look down on the baseline again, and that's
Kerr once again for three.
I was going to say Kerr, but I couldn't tell for sure if it was him or Langdon Allen. Speaking of Langdon Allen, there was a miss by Langdon Allen.
This is really nice play. 2 steals, a point for JT Jeter and Connor Watson after the setup. I try to keep my highlights within about a 10-second glance, but when you have a really nice play, turn around, a steal right there to
there was
get
Kerr,
another.
And then Watson with a steal.
They'll slide back out. Shot inside. That's JT Jeter on the and one.
JT Jeter is a kid that's so athletic. You can see why he's such a good receiver.
And as they went around, last second shot of the third quarter, Duncan will get another one.
Yeah, he just faked the handoff and rolled right to the basket. I remember talking to Kelly about that as it happened. It was a great move for Jack Duncan as we get ready to go with the next set of highlights.
The A-Town girls game from 2 nights ago as they took on Ridgewood, winning 65-31. Really nice game for the Tornadoes as Brooke Pieper from the elbow. A lot of points from her, a lot of points from Hunter coming up, who will be the next shot.
It was funny, you said Hunter gets the basket. You said that a really good game, and they were down 9-2 at that start of that highlight right there.
Well, that was a very slow start. It's kind of what I've been seeing from the past couple of games that we've done. Slow starts have been happening for a lot of teams around here as we get closer into the middle of the season. Some of that fatigue starting to come in.
Right there?
Yes, indeed, on the shot. As Hunter will get the steal and the wide open layup. A lot of steals coming from Tornadoes this game. Just kept on going over and over on the offense of the Ridgewood Spartans.
What did you say the final score was?
65-31.
So it was 27-23?
Mm-hmm.
That's a run for the Tornadoes.
The Tornadoes got the steals going as the past 3 points had been scored on turnovers. Misses that one, but turns around, gets the rebound, and kicks it inside to Pieper. As Brooke Pieper ended up, I do believe, with about 13, 14 points as they turned around and won it by a large margin, especially coming in that third quarter.
Nice.
Next will be the BPC men's game from last night. 59-36 against the Galva Wildcats as 27 points in the first quarter for the Spartans. Conley kicks out to Ezra Mason.
Conley got a shot block there, though, first before that. Got his own rebound now. I think that was supposed to be a pass, wasn't it?
Sure.
Conley.
Rebounds up, and Carter Allman getting up there. That's a nice little highlight to show how the game went as Bushnell, with that height advantage, just dominated the boards all night. Able to run through a lot of steals, a lot of transition buckets with an and one for Conley. Conley played only in that first half, played about 1 minute in the second half, and then they switched out for all replacements. Tanner Kleindentz with the tall little
he
jump
almost
there.
Drops the ball in the hoop, doesn't he? There's another one.
It's crazy how high he can jump, added in with the height that he has. On the rebound, Peyton Mason able to turn around and get a shot of his own.
I owe him an apology. Apparently, I thought it was Caden Palm shooting a shot at one point, a free throw at one point against Rushville, and it ended up somebody told me it was him, so I apologize. Shows how I saw the 3 and stopped looking, apparently. I apologize.
West Prairie taking on the South Fulton Rebels. South Fulton will win this game 45-39. In a pretty close game up towards the stretch. You see that 4-4. Denver Mitchell for 3. You'll hear his name pretty much all over this one. Denver, that lone junior last year when he had a starting lineup full of seniors, really letting himself go be the main option for this West Prairie team now.
There was another 3 for Mitchell.
And there would be a 2 for Ryan Clark, able to take up from his brother Brandon Clark, who graduated last year. Now he's more into the offense as a shooter. Kicks out to Denver. So he'll go inside to Ashton Barkley on the steal by Schmidt.
Barkley got the bucket right there, wasn't it?
Yep.
Nice shot for Ashton.
And then a drive for Denver Mitchell.
That's something you don't see him do a whole lot. He tends to shoot the rock from 3 a lot, but doesn't drive a lot.
A lot of first option stuff, pass out or 3, but they will lose 45-36.
And that's our last. This will be our
This will be our last one.
Macomb BPC, correct?
Indeed, a little bit longer so we can get both teams a decent shot in On the rebound will be Jill Miller. She kicks out to Jaitlin Sickles. BPC would lose this game 61-34. As stolen away and drive, that is Emmerich with the and one.
She had 13 on the night off the bench. She had a good night. Haley did. And Sarah Stuffelbeam, you surely got to highlight her in here somewhere. But Sarah Stuffelbeam scored a game-high 18.
Holthouse with the steal on the transition layup. As Bombers already up 21-18 at that point in the first. Spartans came back to make it a little bit closer in the second and third quarters, as that shot is up by Kylie Norris.
Norris had a game-high 11 for the Spartans, I do believe. There's Emmerich again on another fast break basket.
And stolen away right after, pass right back down. Emmerich will get 2 in a row.
Yeah, she had a good night. There's no doubt about it. And that's kind of the thing that I think they hope to see. If Macomb figures out, and there's Norris again on the bucket. If Macomb figures out how to get 3 or 4 people scoring, they're going to be tough.
Mm-hmm. On for Bushnell, now getting low with Norris. Gets her own rebound, puts it up. Bushnell able to switch in as they're now trusting the offense a little bit more, a little slower pace, getting it inside to Norris and Sickles, using the post game a little bit more.
There's a Stuffelbeam in transition right there. She did a lot of that on Monday night. There's Allison Stortzum on the shot.
Missed shot puts back, 3-pointer for Stuffelbeam.
She did it all. She plays great defense, but she got the offense going this night. And that, like I said, if they figure out how to get that done, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for people to beat Macomb. And then Holthouse had 12, so 18 for Stuffelbeam, 13 for Emmerich, and 12 for Ainsley Holthouse, and that is a good mix for any team. BPC is trying to do that, but they're still struggling a little bit to figure out who it's going to be, right? I mean, who those points are going to come from, and that's what Coach Schwartz said after the game. We lost scoring from Ashanti Strange and Alyssa Zarillo last year, so we got to figure out who that's going to come from. Obviously, one of those people is going to be Kylie Norris, but Jill Miller scored 9 against Macomb, so you kind of feel like Jill might be one of those people that's going to step up and start scoring some points.
And some other players that they have out, kind of in that small forward type player, Elizabeth Gilfillan has been able to hit shots, especially out in range, 3-pointers that she's made this year. Hasn't really been a part of her game the past couple of years, able to work that in a little bit more. Elizabeth Suter getting a better job of passing around, moving off ball. One of the big things that Spartans probably can work on better is that off-ball movement. Keep things in a cyclone. As long as you can keep on dishing inside, find some open shots outside once you get the people to collapse in on Norris, helps everything out.
Yeah, Gilfillan took control of the basketball, bringing it up and down the floor a little bit. Tallest girl on the team, taking care of the basketball as well. So, that's something that I think outside of Elizabeth Suter, they've struggled finding that person to want to step up. I don't know if Elizabeth wants to do it, but she's stepped up and done her best job. But I think if she get Gilfillan to help in that role a little bit, that'll make them a lot better too. Well, how about we take one more break, and then we'll come back and talk about what we got going on the rest of this week and where we look forward to as we move forward towards the Christmas break and some holiday tournaments. We'll be right back on TSSR Weekly here from Sports Corner at 124.
I chose the MDH OBGYN group because I've heard wonderful things about Dr. Smith. And upon entering the office, I really got along with everybody and got a warm feeling. The staff is warm and inviting and welcoming. It's a small community, so it's a really nice hospital to have here in the rural area. I continue to choose MDH because of the relationships I have. I really enjoy everybody here.
At Western Illinois University, Leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there's limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a Leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
Welcome back to TSSR Weekly at Sports Corner at 124. During the break, checking out some NHL scores, and Sabres putting it on the Blue Jackets.
6-0 with 2 minutes left in the first period.
Well, you could watch some of that probably up here at the Sports Corner at 124. Of course, we can see the Knicks and Atlanta playing right now on ESPN, but a lot of TVs up here, so come hang out.
Western game always on.
Yeah, the Western game's on right now. We can go catch the end of that probably when we're done with the broadcast here. We're going to keep it short this week. We kind of mentioned that as our interview. As JT Jeter is unable to make it tonight, and we didn't have time to find somebody else, so we're just going to keep it short. Talk about what we got going on the rest of the week. We mentioned that West Prairie has West Central in girls basketball tomorrow night. West Central has a new 1,000-point scorer for their squad, so they'll be in-house at West Prairie tomorrow night. And then BPC has Elmwood. Elmwood always a pretty decent out for girls basketball. And then if we can get the audio figured out, I haven't heard back from the people that were supposed to do commentary for us, but if we get that figured out, we'll have Macomb versus Galesburg and Farmington wrestling tomorrow night as well.
We could get Miles out there. Probably a little bit less steel chairs than he knows for wrestling.
Yeah. Miles informed me he does not want to do it anymore. So
does not surprise me at all.
So we will. But we have Tegan's going to run the camera as long as we can get somebody to do the audio. So that'll be the thing. Whether we can do that, and then Tegan can help with audio a little bit too. Friday we got boys basketball, a bunch of it again, 3 games. West Prairie's at versus North Fulton. BPC has Beardstown, and then John Reynolds is going to have West Central boys at Southeastern. It'll be the first time we've got to see Southeastern this year.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing with as many games as we've had to been able to do. Southeastern, we're just trying to get as much as we can.
Well, Southeastern hasn't been home. This will be Southeastern's first home game.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Crazy enough, we would have been there had Southeastern would have been at home. But this is the first game they'll be at home. And so the first time we've got to see him in person, John Reynolds is going to have that. Evan will be on the camera again. And Greg Phelps will have the call for B girls tomorrow night in West Prairie. You'll be at Bushnell. John Burton will be at West Prairie on Friday night. Then Saturday, the times are different here. There's no fresh soft game for Macomb South Fulton. It's only varsity, and it starts at 11. So it'll be an 11 o'clock game there. And then Kewanee and Macomb are still at 5 on boys. At Washington Street Gym for the girls at 11 a.m. and then the boys at the high school at 5 p.m. So that stays the same, but there is only a girls varsity game against South Fulton. Now, the odd thing about it is South Fulton doesn't have enough players to play full games. So South Fulton, they were going to play some minutes after the varsity game, but Illini West called and said, hey, we had somebody back out. We needed a fresh soft team or JV team at Illini West on Saturday morning. So Macomb just took their sophomores down there. So a kind of a different thing going on there. But, it seems like, Kenny, this year more than any year has been a lot of changes in schedules. And I know we kind of anticipated that some because of referees and lack thereof. Yeah. But they haven't been because of that. It's just been, we don't want to play here. We got too much going on there. We want to change this to this or whatever. For example, last night was supposed to be West Central on our schedule, and it ended up being Galva, and none of us knew about it.
I didn't even know that. I looked at my schedule, said time show up. That's a couple of changes. Never really seen a 11 a.m. start day for a girls basketball game that's not on a tournament on a Saturday.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty early start, usually like 1 o'clock or something like that. But yeah, it's 11 Saturday morning, so you got to cut the partying short Friday night.
No, I already had to tell my boss that Saturday morning and afternoon can't really work it, but wasn't too happy about that. We're trying to get all our Christmas trees set up and everything mulched in, ready for the winter, as it's pretty much upon us here. I don't want it to start snowing again.
Yeah, well, it's going to happen.
Can't deal with it.
So we have Sunday break, and then Monday, boys basketball, Macomb versus Mercer County, and then boys swimming, Macomb versus Galesburg. I'm not sure if we'll do both of those, but we might. We'll do the Macomb basketball game for sure, but we'll probably try to do Macomb-Galesburg. And if we do Macomb-Galesburg swimming, it'll be earlier, and it'll be much shorter than it was the 3 hours with the 12 teams and so on the other night. So, and then Wednesday will be girls basketball, West Prairie versus Rova on Wednesday, and then we'll be back here. So we don't have anything on Tuesday. That's abnormal,
It's gonna be
too.
a break. It's going to be a nice break.
Are you sure? You want a
Well,
break?
that's my finals
Are you
week.
sure you want a break?
That's my finals week.
Well, don't act like finals are difficult.
Well, I got four classes. 3 of them have finals. All 3 of them land on that December 14th date.
I thought they were supposed to keep that from happening.
Yeah, they were supposed to. It's one of those things where things change. You have technical dates that teachers are supposed to do, and then they say, well, we'll do it online, so I can do it at any time. So I want to make it due that night.
Right. So the TSSR Tri-State Sports Report Bites, the 3rd edition came out today, and you can see some BPC Rockets basketball in there. You can see some pictures from Andrea Ratterman in there for swimming, and she has some girls BPC Macomb basketball in there. Melissa Gilfillan has boys basketball from Bushnell in there, and then Andrea Ratterman has some boys Geneseo mixed in with the Bombers win over loss to Q&D as well. Want to give a shout out to Nolan Kerr, made him the athlete of the week this week. He has been the leading scorer. He scored 14 a point against Q&D, scored 16 last night against Farmington to be the leading scorer, but he is the shutdown defensive guard for the Bombers too, and that's really the thing. We didn't have anybody that had tons of points like Danny Stevens had in our first athlete of the week when he scored 52. We didn't have that this week, and sometimes you look for that reason or that time that you can give somebody an athlete of the week that does the things that don't always show up on the stat sheet. Defense is one of those things that don't always show up on the stat sheet, and if you go back to BPC game against Macomb, you go even Jackson Stratton for Q&D, shut him down. I mean, Nolan Kerr is the penetrating guard of the other team's shutdown guy.
That's a very important, especially in the day and age where you've got a lot of shooters, you got a lot of fast-paced games. It's a great player to have, somebody that's going to sit down and go like, all right, everybody else can kind of worry about their man, help out over here. I got mine done.
Yep.
So you don't need to double up on me. You can worry about everybody else. Opens up some lanes to do some more things defensively.
Well, and the thing is in all honesty, Macomb's got 3 of those guys. We knew they had 2 in Nolan Kerr and Langdon Allen. Langdon Allen did a very good job in several games as well, including against Nolan Dietrich from Illini West. At the Spartan Tip-Off Classic, Nolan Dietrich scored 28 against BPC in the morning and scored 5, and 2 or 3 of those were from the free throw line in the game against Macomb, all because Langdon Allen was quick enough to play ball denial defense the entire time. And then last night against Farmington, we see JT Jeter, undersized, but played phenomenal defense against Barnes from Farmington, who was supposed to be their go-to guy, and he pretty much shut him down. Barnes finished with 11. So they've got some kids that can really play defense. They've struggled a little offensively. As this, 45-33 the win last night, they started off slow, but they get on runs and they could score some points. And I think Bushnell's kind of that way. They struggle from time to time, but it's high school sports, right? I mean, that's going to happen.
Yep.
So yep. So we're going to. Anything else you want to talk about before we head out of here?
I don't think so.
Should we talk about any girls basketball? Anything pop to your head? If we rank the teams right now in girls basketball, A-Town, Macomb.
From the ones that I've seen, probably I'd really like to see A-Town play Macomb because I can't really decide between the two. I'd probably give it to Macomb right now just from the ability that they have to run the court and set up a defense and offense. You can play both fast and a little slower. A-Town really good on the fast, slower. They kind of slow down a little bit and have to work out a little bit where they're going to go, pass a little bit more decisively, opens up some turnover problems for them. But other than that, if they're playing somebody about their level or even a little bit better than them, they have that chip on their shoulder to say, okay, well, but we can beat them. Right. And that really helps them out.
So that, and then we got Camp Point Central Southeastern, which is the co-op. Central beat Macomb. They're pretty good too. We kind of forget that's Southeastern too because everybody looks at it as Camp Point. They kind of forget about Southeastern, but that is one of our 2 schools. Even though we don't cover all the games when they're in Camp Point, we will cover them when they're at Southeastern because they do play a few home games at Southeastern. So Central Southeastern probably right there. Lauren Miller is a junior, I think, and she's legit, folks. She's good. So if you throw Central in the mix, I'm gonna go Central, A-Town, Macomb, and then BPC and West Prairie. I haven't seen West Prairie, but I might go West Prairie BPC.
I haven't seen West Prairie either, but
See them on TV, but that's different than seeing them in person.
yeah, of course, I mean, I'm not a talent scout or anything like that. I just kind of have to see how the games play. West Prairie, I do believe, has a little bit of an edge over Bushnell. Bushnell's just really just trying to find their identity still. Second-year head coach with Swartz and with Rotifer as a assistant. Grew a lot last year and are growing even more this year. Have some more early success than they didn't have last year.
So we move to boys real quick, I guess, before we end this. I'm going to say Macomb is our best team, Southeastern second. That could be switched. The fun thing about that is those two teams are going to play each other. Mm-hmm. If they don't play each other in the Macomb Western Holiday Tournament, they do have a game scheduled against each other, I believe, later in the year. So that'll be fun to see. Just because of the defense Macomb is able to play, even though Danny Stevens offers something that nobody else in the area offers, I'm still going to go with Macomb, Southeastern, then Bushnell, then West Prairie and A-Town's kind of a toss-up, I think. But probably go A-Town, then West Prairie. It could be West Prairie, A-Town. I don't know.
Sounds pretty much exactly what I have. I haven't been able to see Southeastern yet so far this year.
Yeah, we're going to excited to see them at least on TV. John Reynolds will get to call on that on Friday, and Evan will be back on the camera. Evan's going to do his first basketball game. He did volleyball for us all year, but it will be great to have him on camera for that. So
Evan is a really good kid, been able to help out. Got to do the 8th grade state last year with him out there near Decatur.
Yeah, he does a good job. He cares about what he's doing, and he takes pride in what he's doing, so that's a plus. So, well, that'll do it for this week's TSSR Weekly. Thanks for watching. We hope that you enjoyed it a little bit. We'll have guests back on. I will tell you that 2 weeks from tonight, when we do a show, we will have the brackets for the Macomb Western Holiday Tournament, and we will talk to some representatives from the Macomb Western Holiday Tournament and talk about what's going on next week. We will not broadcast any of those games, but we will have all the information about the tournament, so you can check it out and see what's going on. It should be a good week of basketball. It always is.
And then we're going to try our best to get some into the Menden Unity Tournament. We were able to stream a lot last year from that. That's something else that, it's not too far away. It's kind of a nice trip to go out there and get some new teams that you don't really see during the regular season.
The cool thing about MVIT is there's less teams all in one gym this year, so we won't miss anybody with only one crew going down there. So it should be a lot of fun. I don't know if we'll do all of the games, but we'll do probably all the games that pertain to us per se. And sometimes that might be all the games on a couple of nights, but it's kind of how it ended up last year too. So, well, for Kenny Suter, I'm Dwayne Hulett. Thanks for joining us on TSSR Weekly, live from Sports Corner at 124, at one, something like that. Where are we at? Sports Corner at 124. I can't talk. That's how excited I am to get off of here. So we'll see you next week. See you.